The sound of polished leather echoes through the marble halls of the Kim estate as Taehyung stepped inside the cold wind of Seoul, winter trailing behind him like a silent witness of his return. Tall, immaculately dressed in a black trench coat and charcoal grey suit, he looked every bit the empire higher, except his eyes told a different story. They were darker now, sharper, worn by the fire that had never gone out. The staff once used to his father commanding presence, stood silent in reserve and fear. Taehyung didn't look at them. He didn't have to. His arrival was a stem no one dare interrupt. In his private study, the air smelled at its cause and leather just like his father had liked it. But Taehyung didn't flinch as he stared at the portrait of the late Kim Jae-ho. Instead, he poured himself a drink, clenching the glass until his knuckles turned white. Your legacy was built on ashes, he muttered, and I will burn it all to the ground before I let his daughter live peacefully. He pulled out an old envelope from his coat pocket. Inside were the fragile end of old newspaper article. Khan Group raised as Kim Corporation fall and empire crush overnight. And the photograph of a girl smiling innocent, unaware that her father victory had left on another family hand. Khan and the girl he would marry. Not for love, not for peace, but for a vagueness. His phone buzzed. It was Jimin, his lifelong friend and legal counsel. Everything arranged, the Khan family accepted the proposal. The wedding in 3 weeks, Taehyung jaw tightened. Perfect. He took a slow sip of the couch, let her dream of a fairy tale, he thought coldly, because when she wakes up, the nightmare begins. Khan went trail in front of the mirror, her pale pink hanbok flowing like a petal in spring. Her grandmother clapped her hands together, eyes misty with joy. You look beautiful, fine, she whispered, just like your mother on her engagement day. Wine smells ridiculous. Do you really think he chose me? I mean the thing. Her grandmother nodded slowly through something in her gaze. Lingering too long. He is the hire of the Kim Corporation. It's a powerful agency. Your father believes it's time to get let off the past, but wasn't our family rival. Rivals die with the generation, sweetheart, her grandmother said, forcing a soft smile, and the marriage heals what people once destroy. Vi nodded, letting the thought fade as she returned to the mirror, her heart beat with acceptance, fear, and every hope. She had ever met him, not properly, just saw his name in his headlines, heard the humor, cold distance, brilliant, dangerous. Yet when her father announced the proposal, he spoke of respect and peace, two words really used in business, let out in the conscience of the Khan came fluid. She wanted to believe it, that maybe this was a turning point, that maybe love could follow. Later that night, her father returned the room. His presence always drew silence. The wedding will be quiet, no media, no press, he said, not looking at her. Requested it. Wine follow. He doesn't want to meet before the wedding. Her father lips tightened. You will meet the altar. That's enough. A cold wind drifted through her chest, burning her heart with something unexplainable. Was it doubt or simply nerves? Still, she nodded, her voice soft. Okay. In the Kim mansion across the city, Taehyung stood on his balcony, watching the moon cast shadow over the estate. He didn't need it, let the smoke swirl between his fingers. She's already falling for a dream, he said to Jimin, who leaned against the doorframe. Let her. Jimin was hesitant. She's not like her father. That's the point, he replied coldly, flicking ash into the wind. Breaking her will break him, and yet, deep inside, breathing the brightness, something inside him stirred when he said her name. The air was thick with the tension inside the private meeting room of the five-season Hotel Khan. Daisy wine father sat across from Taehyung, both men flagging the lower silence. Taehyung gaze never wavered from the older man, calm, calculated leather. The terms are simple, he said, his voice smooth, the devoted of warmth. You get the pace between our family, I get your daughter. Daisy's jaw clenches, he nodded, and the public remained unaware of the lenses. The private ceremony discreetly in Taehyung leaned forward, but understand this, Chairman Kang, this isn't matter built on an emotion, it's a mother, and I instead to run away, it's my way. Daisy gave a cold nut through his eyes, freaking just a moment with a doubt. She's fragile, he said slowly. Be careful with her. Taehyung offered a small smirk. I don't do careful. As the meeting concluded, the layer present signature. Jimin waited outside, waiting through the glasses. His hand were burning in the coat pocket, but worry leaned his brow. You are playing with the fire, he muttered when Taehyung emerged. She's not her father. I don't care. He cut in the carries his name. That's enough. But even as he said it, something nagged at him. A memory from 2 years ago also flashed and watered her laughter. The way she bumped into him a museum in Paris, not recognize who he was, the way she did apologize, she cried before disappearing into the crowd again. Back then he let it go, now fate has delivered her back into his hand. Meanwhile, at the Khan residence, Wine sat on the garden bench, her finger nervously clapping the hem of her coat. Her best friend, Hangul, sat beside her, shooting her a spectral look. You are seriously marrying him without even talking to him. I try asking, but he said in tradition, and that's the good man. Hangul snorted. Good man don't hide behind the contract. Wine smiled faintly. Maybe he just got it. Or dangerous, she muttered. Be careful, Wine. Wine didn't respond, but her heart sung quite a key. A part of her longed to be wanted, loved, not used as a chase piece, but its time was truly her future. Back in his penthouse, Taehyung stared at the imagined photo sent by the planner. Wine as sparkled with the hope, her smile soft and touched. He crushed the photo in his hand. Let's see how long that light lasts. The wedding was held in a quiet temple nested deep within the Gonian mountain, isolated, untouched by the media or corporate cross. Snow blanket on the past lands, the silence was defending. Khanwayan stood in the bridal suit, wrapping in the ivory silk and knots. Her hair was adorned, the delicate petals, lips trembling as she stared at her reflection. She had never seen his face, not since the arrangement, not truly, only distant image. She didn't know what his voice would sound like when it said her name.